a couple days. I'll check in at whatever time he said I was going to check in.
I think
Like
I've heard this story before.
0600 or something
Yeah.
like that. So again, like police captain, experienced hunter, been doing it since he was a kid, and always was prepared with sat phone, communications, regular check-ins, all that stuff. So he doesn't check in, and also doesn't return back to the location where he parked. A couple days later, and they're like, "Well, that's unusual. Like, I'm sure he's fine, but that's unusual." So
Yeah,
eventually,
that is very scary.
eventually he does they're getting his handlers like, all right, like sat phone is not he's not answering. That's not like him. We got to send out people to look. So they go looking. They find his campsite completely intact. Um,
Intact.
completely
So the
completely intact.
so there was no evidence of any like foul play or like
Nothing.
nothing.
Nothing at all. Also, he's like in the middle of bumblefuck, like in the woods.
So sorry, before you continue, is there no possible way that a bear could have like gotten him or something?
I mean, there's that possibility, but you'd think that you would find some sort of a struggle. You'd find some sort of something, and also here's the kicker: his rifle was there,
Oh, okay.
so there's no reason that if it was a bear, he would have left without his rifle.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
That's the
All
thing.
right.
So his rifle was there, and as well as the sat phone, all of his food was intact, all of his gear was intact. There was like a bear. If a bear came and attacked your campsite, it would rip the tent to get into the tent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he had no reason to travel off trail. And they searched the surrounding area, and there was no sign of him leaving. There was no like blood, no ripped clothes, no footprints, no nothing. So he's actually gone for so long, and they couldn't find him in this like whatever square miles they were searching, that the Boston Police Department actually sent people to go and find him
What?
From Massachusetts. They sent to help in the search. I believe this happened in
What?
the 80s. So that's the first one.
Wow.
That's the first one that happened in this area. The second one is Connie here.
You said
This
that these all happened around like the same time?
same time of the year. Not the same time,
Yeah.
the same time of the year. So this one's
Huh.
really interesting because Connie disappeared October 3rd, 2018.
Not that long ago.
So she was 76 and worked as a camp cook for Ritchie Outfitters based in Salmon, Idaho. Just again around Big Fog Mountain, near Big Rock and Grangeville, Idaho. The area was remote with no roads and only accessible by horse or on foot. She was last seen on October 2nd when the hunters left the camp. According to County Sheriff Doug Giddings, the next day, the hunters had radio contact with Connie, but they could not understand what she was saying as the radio transmission was weak. When they returned to the camp on October 5th, Connie and her dog were gone. Um, so this also explains why this makes zero sense. Connie was an experienced outdoors person, previously worked as a U.S. Forest Service wilderness ranger at the Moose Creek Ranger Station. She was also a member of the Selway Bitterroot Foundation, and she frequently led young people and other groups on tours of the backcountry in the area. So
Hmm.
she knows her way around, and she's very experienced. They said she was experienced in backcountry and knew how to survive. Even if something went wrong, she was 5'7", 140 pounds, and had blonde hair and blue eyes. Chris Adkins, a former colleague, says it's reconcilable, like what everyone is dealing with this, because like you said, this isn't like some pilgrim's first rodeo. This is a woman who spent the last 25 years of her life, most of them on foot in the wilderness alone, doing her wilderness range work. And if there's anybody who has a skill set that positions them to beat this, it's her.
Yeah, so she had been in this type of a situation before.
Exactly, many times, 25 years of that. So a
Okay.
large search with searchers on foot and tracking canines were quickly deployed. It involved aircraft deploying FLRI or IR heat technology from the U.S. Air Force, the Idaho National Guard, and the Clearwater County Backcountry Helicopter Rescue Team, and no one found any trace of her. They ended the search 2 weeks later on October 16th. 3 weeks later, her dog turned up at the Moose Creek Ranger Station, 15 miles from the camp where she had disappeared from, but without her. The dog was examined, fed, and then taken out to search for its owner, but to no avail. She had good experience in the
So, just
outdoors.
like the first person,
Yes, a very experienced person who knows their way around. But the creepy thing about this is they had radio contact with her. They had radio contact with
but they
her
couldn't understand, but they
3
couldn't.
days, yeah, 3 days beforehand.
Yeah, but they couldn't understand what she was saying, though, according to what it says here.
Yeah, but even if she had
Hmm.
like they the search canines didn't do anything. Like dogs don't just leave their owners either like that.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a strange one.
This whole thing is weird.
Again, it's all around Big Fog Mountain. And then we have the Terrence Woods disappearance, also around Big Fog Mountain.
What? Another one?
Terrence Woods, 27, was reported missing in mysterious circumstances around 5:30 p.m. on the same day in the Oro Grande
What?
area of Idaho. He was a production assistant from Maryland, helping film a documentary on Penman Mine for Whitewater, a British TV show.
That's
At
wild.
some point, he ran off into the woods for some reason and has never been found. His father
What?
said they, the production crew, thought he fell off a cliff, but by the time he got over there, he was 15 feet down the cliff, running like a hare. So I said, "What do you mean running like a hare?" And they said, "He runs so fast, I ain't never seen nobody run that fast. You can't get lost out there because if you get lost out there, you're going to run into a road or houses." So he didn't just poof, vanish, and disappear. No, he made it to that road. Someone had to have picked him up. Despite an extensive search, no leads were obtained from the previous 7 days of searching, and no signs of Terrence were located in the search area or the expanded search area.
So he didn't have a phone that they could ping?
No,
Because
so
everyone's got
actually,
smartphones.
so I'm not paying for this, but I watched a video on the rest of his story as well. So that's what I'm going to talk about now.
Okay.
Because I'm not paying like whatever to read that.
Yeah.
So Terrence, what had happened was they were filming a documentary out there, and the one day he kept telling the crew like he felt strange, and he was also like a sound guy, right? So he had a radio, and he kept telling them like that he's like, what are you guys hearing on the radio? Again, this is the same exact day that Connie disappeared.
That's weird.
Like, yeah, strange. And he's like, yo, he apparently he started getting really strange towards the middle of the day where he said he was hearing stuff on the radio and everybody was like, there's nothing being heard. Completely normal guy. No, never a sign of like mental problems, schizophrenia, nothing like that ever appeared. And he's got an entire crew.
Hmm.
Like there's like 15 people there, including him.
Alright. So, can I put on my tinfoil hat here?
Hold on. So this is
Alright.
actually what happened. At one point, he stopped, took off all his gear, pulled his shirt off, and booked it into the woods, like fast as fuck. and screaming like
Bro
something
was
was
naked?
no, not naked. He took his shirt off, but screaming and
Oh, okay.
running like something was chasing him, and like he couldn't see the people that were right in front of him that he ran past, like pure fear, and he just ran, and they followed him, and they made it to a cliff that they couldn't get down. They said when they looked down the cliff, and there's multiple witnesses for this and everything like that. And they said when they looked down the cliff, he was already down there by the time they weren't that far behind him because like your friend just goes booking it off into the woods, freaking out. You're gonna run after him.
Yeah.
They didn't wait. So they look down and he's already down the cliff, booking it into
Wild.
the forest. If he had left the forest, somebody would have found him. If he had stayed in the forest, somebody would have found him. No,
Okay.
he hit the other tree line and was gone.
Okay. Can I put on my tinfoil hat here?
If you're gonna say that they killed him,
No.
there was
No.
a search. So
Nope. Nope. I'm not going to. I'm gonna say something a whole lot crazier, actually. They stumbled upon some sort of like a dimensional portal or something.
like Skinwalker
Because,
Ranch.
well, dude,
You think there's
three.
another location like that around Big Fog, and that's why there's like these experienced ass people disappearing?
Well,
See, this
but
is Monday
it's
Night
not
Mayhem.
even.
This is what I like to get into. I like to bring up these topics so we can speculate the nut shit.
It's 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 not even Roland. It's not even the fact that they are experienced. That's not what makes me think my theory. It's the fact that they all disappeared without traces. You know what I mean?
And here's the weird thing about the Connie thing is like the dog just showed up 15 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you said, dogs don't leave owners. Dogs do not leave.
Even if she was hurt, the dog wouldn't leave.
Yeah. So I
But
think that
why would she leave? You get what I'm saying? Like what she was supposed to be waiting for the hunters to get back. There was no
there was
reason for her.
probably some sort of a pull. I
There was
think that they
no
ran
reason
into like
for
a
her to
dimensional
risk.
pull or something.
No reason for her to leave.
I think that they ran into like a dimensional pull.
So what caused
Some sort
this
of
normal guy to suddenly lose his mind and just book it off into the woods and somehow make it down that fucking cliff and just keep running like he was being chased by something that no one else
I
could
mean,
see?
like, you know, adrenaline will do that for for you though too. Adrenaline, you can
But to go down a
like.
cliff that they thought he fell down and died, and they look down there and he's still running, like that's crazy.
I mean, that's more than just like. I really don't want.
That's a
Actually,
lot of
no.
adrenaline, brother.
Well, this is the show that we can speculate on freely. Possession? That definitely sounds like a possibility. It it's either like possession or there's some sort of an evil pull there that like something pulls all of these people to like a force of something. You know, like there has to be something around that area that pulls people in. But that but but that third story kind of is what like proves it because maybe there's forces around there that like makes all these people terrified and then they feel like they have to run towards this force and then they go missing. That's just my own personal point of view. I mean, it could be way off base, but
Now, don't get me wrong,
Reason's got a great point.
it's not easy to like find people in those woods, but when you're using canines, when you're using helicopters, when you get the National Guard out there, and two people disappeared on the same day in the same forest.
And
He was just
also,
He was just in a different location of the forest that was closer to people than she was.
First of all,
That's
or
weird. That's weird as
um,
fuck.
I I won't be mad if you disagree with my theory, but do you think that my theory has any plausibility or
Bro,
no?
I've watched I've heard some craziest shit, so I can't. I've seen some crazy shit myself, so like yeah, sure. I
Yeah.
I can't like corroborate nor deny it.
What do you think though? You think it was
I
like a serial
think
killer or
that
something?
no, no, I don't think
Like a
that's.
very good serial killer?
Why? How would a very good serial killer get a guy that's in a group of 15 people or maybe like 10 people to like a whole film crew, basically? How would he get one guy of an entire film crew to freak the fuck out, start screaming, take his shirt off, book it into the woods, end up down it like he was mad, like he ran like a fucking like he was possessed.
That
Like
guy saw something. That guy saw something. He had to have.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Is your theory like a skinwalker or something? You think that
No,
that might be what it is?
no, not necessarily. My theory is just that it has to do. It could be a magnetic anomaly. Um, it could be, like you said, like a dimensional rift. It could be.
Would a dimensional rift though drive someone crazy in that way?
Who the fuck knows?
True.
We don't have any studies done on dimensional rifts, so
That is true.
who the fuck knows what it could do? If
It's
that's
just
the thing.
like
But there's like crazy magnetic anomalies like all over the place, and some of
that
which
is true.
people believe are dimensional rifts. Like there's a location in the North Pole or Antarctica, one of the really fucking cold. It's one of the poles, but there's a magnetic anomaly down there where atoms, like new atoms, are just showing up,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like, and they're like, well, that makes zero sense. So it would have to be, yeah, that
Crimson's
exactly.
got a great point here.
That's
A
what I'm
rift in
saying.
space-time would theoretically have some insane effects
Right.
on the
So
world around it.
they believe that one of the theories for this location where new protons and neutrons and electrons are just like showing up out of this one area. It's almost like they're just being spewed out like a geyser. They think that has
Right.
to they think that is a low or some sort of dimensional something.
I think we
Because
talked
matter is not created or destroyed. It's just recycled.
when we had a paranormal themed Rolo Romcast before we did Monday Night Mayhem, we had we had a topic or we had like a conversation about one of those like poles, or it might have been like Antarctica, something,
I
but
think
you
that's
told me
where
about
it's
the
at. Yeah.
new atoms, yeah. And the thing that I brought up then, and I think you agreed with me, but this almost, 2 years later though, and I'm curious to hear if you still feel the same way. Do you think that that area, like, I don't need a definite yes or no here, but do you think that that could possibly be like leading into some sort of an alternate dimension or something?
Yep. I think anything's possible when it comes to something like that. Matter's not created or destroyed. It's just existing.
Yeah, cause I mean, atoms don't just pop up out of nowhere, right?
Well, I guess yeah, like Crimson's correct. Like it's but they're recreated. There's only a set like form of like matter, right? Like so yes, he's correct. Matter is created and destroyed. I get what you're saying, but like there's a finite like set amount of energy in existence.
Rose said Mater. Um, What's up, Trav? What's up, Ben? Um, thoughts on Diddy? This is not the
Wait till we go on Rumble for that.
we can't say that here.
Yeah,
But
can't get away with that on YouTube.
yeah, but wild. No, but so yeah, that's my theory on this, area where these like, three people vanished is
See, I think magnetic anomaly could be the answer too, because magnetic anomalies can fuck with people.
is that is that close to a dimensional rift, or what is a magnetic
Oh,
anomaly?
well, see, the human body is affected by magnetism all the time,
Yeah.
constantly. Like right now, you're being affected by magnetism of the Earth, and thanks, Crimson. I appreciate that. But my whole thing with magnetic anomalies is like some people get headaches around them. Like there's some people get nauseous.
Right.
Some people have trouble seeing. Some people have trouble hearing. Some people lose their sense of smell. Some people get a taste in their mouth that's very metallic that they can't get rid of for days. So things like that. And yeah, some people have like crazy ass fucking dreams. But things like that,
So
like
is it just something that triggers in your body? Is that is
well,
that
because it's fucking with the iron and like well, not the iron, but whatever, like all the different things in your body that are considered metals. Like not the iron specifically, but like for in layman's terms, it fucks with your iron. You get what?
so
So it's a magnet, basically.
so like the reason that magnetic anomalies happen is because we live on a planet that like has like a lot of gravity, or
Like,
is that not it?
magnetism shifts.
There are there are people who have
That's true.
issues with watches
Yeah,
not keeping the right time due to how watch batteries interact with their bodies. Yeah, true.
exactly. That's a perfect example right there. So imagine that amplified, what that could do to somebody. However, that doesn't
Do you
explain why the bodies aren't found.
Yeah, that's like the only thing. Like your
Well, I'm
theory
saying that a
is
magnetic
very, very
anomaly.
plausible.
I'm saying that a
It
magnetic anomaly could cause a dimensional rift.
hmm. All right, Crimson, I'm sorry. I'm not very wise, I'm sorry. No, but
This man thought fish weren't animals. Okay.
you know what, bro? Listen, okay?
You expect him to
We're
understand magnetism?
bro, we're letting that slide, all right? Chill.
I'm never gonna let that
Anyway,
slide.
anyway, so uh hey yo, pause. But uh okay, Trav, all right then.
That's good.
All right
It's
then.
really ripped off them draws.
So so both you and me know about like, dimensional rifts, have but you also said that there hasn't been any like official
Well,
cases of it,
yeah,
right?
there's no solid proof, but I mean, like, not to bring it away from like the more spooky stuff, but to bring it more towards like UFOs for a minute. Like, people think that's what they use. Like, they use some sort of like dimension shifting or gravitational magnetic shifting tech. That's how they're able to go from you know the South Sea all the way up to freaking the North Pole in like 30 seconds because they're not actually
Yeah.
moving that fast. They're pulling themselves there. But
What?
but
Dude,
in order to
that
you never heard that they're not because if there's anything living inside there, it would have to have some sort of different type of magnetism or a different, not dimension, but different form of atom. Like you can't be like, if I'm in a car going 90 miles an hour and I make a 90-degree turn, I'm gonna splatter. I'm just gonna explode.
Huh.
Like, or 100 miles an hour, whatever. Like,
I,
my body, like, when you stop your car going 30 miles an hour and you jolt a little bit, like, imagine
yeah.
that car turning right instantaneously.
Bruh.
So, in order for them to be able to make these maneuvers, they have to be fucking with some form of magnetism that's not only outside the ship, but inside the craft as well. Two different
They're
forms.
like cutting against the earth. They would have to be.
Well, yeah, but they're also like, something like that is also moving. They're moving faster than Mach speed. So if they're moving faster than like Mach speed to be able to get up there in that time period of 30 seconds, and you clock them down by Florida, and 30 seconds later you're clocking them up by like Greenland.
Yeah. That that is that is crazy.
Like, that's a wild speed to be traveling at.
So
And we've seen them on footage, military footage, make 90-degree turns and just disappear.
yeah.
So there, I believe that they do use both magnetic technology as well as dimensional technology.
So for what happened here,
Because
you think
imagine this.
that it's a poss
Imagine if on the inside they had some sort of, so they could either create their own gravity well inside the ship,
yeah.
so that it's normal gravity all the time. You don't get that jolt when you're going 30 miles an hour when you stop.
Yeah.
Like, but you can like stand up, walk around like you're in your room, but you're going like the speed of freaking sound.
Right.
And you can make all these
So
turns and stuff, but
can I
nobody's swaying, nobody moves. So you would need, the outside of it would have to have some sort of magnetic pull, like that. They're not moving that fast, literally. They're pulling themselves to a location that fast. And as
so
they do that, there needs to be another form of like a magnetic gravity well inside of that ship, also coupled with, in my opinion, I'm no fucking scientist. Well, not that type of scientist. I'm a scientist, but not that type of scientist. Um, they would require. Keep in mind, I'm retarded when it comes to like astrophysics and shit.
you
Uh,
are not. You're smart.
Pilgrim costumes are for the Roller Rome cast. I'm wearing my costume on the Roller Rome cast, but that is a good point. No costumes. Yeah, I get it, but I'm wearing my costume for the Roller Rome cast. Um, so if the inside is a gravity well, right, and the outside is using a form of gravitational technology to pull themselves in certain directions, then the inside is sitting on a normal gravity like state. Just like I can get up and walk around my room right now, same exact thing. However, with the speed that they're going at, in order to function, right, and be able to, press your buttons or whatever, or think,
Yeah.
because some people
Yeah.
say they say that there's no buttons inside these things. It's just like they think and things happen, right? But even still, in order for something to think that quickly, to just make a 90-degree turn that fast when you're going Mach speed, like that's an insane amount of brain power, which I'm sure they have. However, you could couple that with dimensional technology where you're actually in our dimension, but you're creating a, almost like a sub dimension within it inside the ship when you set foot in the ship when the ship is moving.
Right.
That way, that time for you in the ship is moving slightly slower than it is outside the ship.
So
Giving you more time to give orders to your crew.
So, since we can speculate in any way on this show, then was there any evidence of any
Dude, that's dope. That's dope, Crimson. There's
that is
actually
dope.
a YouTube called Cool Worlds who described it as theoretical. What the fuck is up with me tonight? For an interstellar ship similar to this. I'll have to check that
Sorry,
out.
bro. That's me. That is me constantly. No, but so was there any evidence of UFO activity in this area? Kind of like
Nope.
how
No, there was no
in the
evidence of
area,
UFO technology. There was no evidence of foul play, and there was no evidence of like animals or any. Like if an animal would leave the body, an animal would pick it clean at least, but you'd find bones. You found if they were doing a search area and they found human bones, they would take those bones back, get them analyzed, and be like, "Oh, this person's DNA's in it. That's this person."
right? So you don't think that they were
They poofed and they
abducted?
were gone. These people
You don't
literally just went and they were gone.
so
It's like
then
I
may
just like clap my hands and they just disappeared, ceased to exist. No
now
clothing, no cloth,
that's
no
crazy.
like ripped up clothing, no cloth. Like an animal's not gonna take a human body with pure like if you find a dead person from an animal killing it, you're not gonna find like their suit and fucking tie looking perfectly clean, just sitting. You know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
no like it's gonna be ripped up. It's gonna be ripped
Buffer
up.
tape says magnetic anomalies could affect perception, so it would be a literal thing of you can't trust your eyes. Well,
Ex-
that would fit
Exactly.
with
That's it
that
with
would fit
Terrence, but that doesn't necessarily but that could also explain why the woman Connie, who is always on the radio talking to hunters, they couldn't hear her because she was muffled. A magnetic anomaly.
maybe this area causes those. Maybe that's
Well,
possible.
so does Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. Skinwalker Ranch causes
I
magnetic
didn't know that.
anomalies. Yeah, and
Huh,
atoms appear and disappear. They have like footage of it, like on like a scale where you
right.
can like they're like testing the fucking atoms and shit. It's hard to explain, but you can see them. You can see them through a computer screen, like it shows you the atoms and whatnot, and some of them just disappear and appear like another location. And people, that's where people the most amounts of people that are getting headaches and things like that. Yeah, yo, look at this, Crimson. Everyone's chilling here tonight. See, Roman, see what I told you? See, I told you. Everybody would be hanging out here.
Alright, okay, okay. I was only gonna go live on my second channel because I wanted to have more growth over there, but this is the main channel. You were you
Yo,
were you were right, Roland. You're right about
I'm sorry, dude. The way you just
98.9% of the
said,
time. So
the way you just said, this is the main channel. You sounded like Burger King foot lettuce. You're like, this is the
Burger
main.
King foot lettuce.
And
By
you're
the
like,
way,
this is the
before
main
we
channel.
before we
Yo, should we
before
just talk
we
like him for the?
continue,
I'll
what
talk like
happened to Chills?
him. Chill's top five.
Yeah, dude, I missed that. He would upload that weekly. Like he would he would upload his top fives every Friday?
All right, when we go through our ghost stories, I'll just talk like him. Have you guys ever heard?
That
Dude,
was
I
who
said that. Yo, Crimson, I
that
said
was who
that.
Ronnie got it from.
I said that Ronnie sounds like him when he does his videos, and I'm pretty sure Ronnie got it from him.
Chills' voice is iconic. But
What
but
would
no,
you
so
in this
You don't
scenario.
think that there's any way that these people could have been abducted by like
Oh, I think
aliens
that's
or
totally
nothing?
possible because they literally just up and disappeared. But I think it's more plausible that they might have literally just ended up in another dimension, or got,
So
or even creepier. The magnetic anomaly caused a high pressure zone, and they just literally were condensed into atoms, like the fuckers in the submarine that went down to the Titanic and just poofed.
wouldn't there been some form of DNA found though? There would have been
Not
something
if
found,
their
right?
atoms were like literally just. Well, that would cause a nuclear explosion if you split an atom. I'm not talking about splitting it. I'm talking about literally like like Connie's walking and her dog is chilling, but that doesn't explain why her dog is alive.
Exactly, right. Because wouldn't the dog have been
The dog would have
impacted too?
disappeared as well. Yes,
I think that they went into another dimension or something, bro.
or
I think that
something in this area. I'm not talking about just magnetic anomalies. Something in this area, like not a skinwalker, nothing like that. Some entity was like, "I'm picking you. Your dog's cool."
there's also the uh Havana syndrome where the Russians were possibly making diplomats sick with sound waves. All kinds of things
Yep.
are possible. I
Yes.
I've seen that before.
There would have been gamma radiation. Exactly. The level of energy released from that kind of event would be easily discoverable. I agree. If you rip a
If you rip
molecular,
a molecule apart, it releases energy. That's why shit gets hot when it burns.
yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm not talking about
So
literally to that level. I'm talking about taking a human and atomizing them.
these people would have had to have literally vanished into like thin air.
That's the thing. That's the creepy thing about this. And also the hunter, his gun was there, all his shit was there, his boots were there. Like he just disappeared.
Yeah.
And he even said,
Um,
"Hey, I got a fucked up knee. I'm coming home early. I'm not staying here for a week and a half. I'm only gonna stay here for the next couple days, and if something shows up, I'll shoot it." Like, and he just never showed up.
yeah, and these people just upped and vanished. So, but the thing is, right? They all left without traces. So maybe when like after Roland and I started talking about like what could have happened, maybe something was pulling them towards like the rift or something. I don't know.
It's an interesting theory. I
But
think
I
that
think that
so these are all technically part of the missing 411,
oh, okay.
which I suggest everybody, if you're into this conversation, look up look into the missing 411. Some really interesting shit of disappearances of people that makes zero sense. Some of them have been found. Like there's one story that is absolutely horrific, not gruesomely, but like horrific mentally. There was a grandfather who was camping with his family. So I believe it was his son, his daughter, and their kids. And
Right.
he took the 3-year-old fishing, which was like right, or maybe it was his daughter and son, but he took the 3-year-old fishing, and it was literally right outside the camp. They said it was a like a couple minute walk, and at one point he's fishing. His grandson's next to him. He catches a fish or whatever, or he's going to restring the line, and he turns around, and his grandson's gone,
What?
just gone.
What?
And they searched everywhere. They trawled the bottom of the lake. They searched the entire fucking area. There's no sign of this little 3-year-old.
So like 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 these three people, there was like no like trace of him? None?
Yes.
Nothing?
Yes, nothing. There's another one which is also like imagine you're that grandfather. You're like, I'm fishing with my grandson. This is gonna be great, and then you turn around and he's just gone. Like they brought out
That's
dogs. They brought out everybody from the town was looking for him. Like they weren't even that far
I would never
away.
be able to live with myself.
That's what I'm
I would never
saying.
be able to live with
And
myself.
it's the same thing. There was a father who was Boy Scout troop. He was on a Boy Scout trip with his son and the whole troop. So you're thinking 40 people, probably 40, 50 people. And they took a 5 minute walk. Again, they were fishing. They took a 5 minute walk down the trail. Down the trail. Here's the other thing. So there's one trail that leads out to a water source so that the scouts could go fishing or campers, whoever was staying there. And then there's the camp. So you'd have to pass through the camp or pass like go to the water source. It was like a one way. And they were all camping there. So they wake up in the morning. Son's like, "Hey, Dad, can we go fishing?" Dad's like, "Sure, I guess we could go fishing before we start the day." He goes up. The son forgets something at camp. I don't remember what it was. So the dad's like, "Hey, yeah, I'll get the rods ready." You're like 8, 9 years old. You can walk down a trail and back. I mean,
The sun vanishes, right?
yeah, there's 40 people though. He's like there's no reason for any. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, we're in a Boy Scout trip. I'm on one end of the trail, and there's 40, 50 people on the other end of the trail, and they're probably all waking up around now anyway. If anything happens to you, one of us will hear it. And they're not in bear country. They're not in. It's nothing crazy like that.
So
So
did he vanish without any trace?
yeah, so he walks back down the trail. Um, 5 minutes go by. Dad's not worried because it's a 5 minute walk back. Um, 10 minutes go by. He's like, okay, maybe he's talking to his friends back at camp. 30 minutes go by. And he's starting to wonder, like, is he even going to come back? Like, I'm going to go get him. Dad's getting kind of frustrated. Uh, and eventually he walks back there. No one in camp knows where the son's at.
What?
There's no sign of anything on the trail as the dad's walking back.
That's insane.
Son disappeared. It was never found again.
How does but so there's something that correlates with like all of these, but could that really just be a dimensional rift? Or like a magnetic anomaly? Or like is there something like, in the air or something? Because like just like thinking of it from like, a practical sense, Roland, people do not just vanish. It doesn't happen. It's
No, if
especially
there's an
children.
animal attack, if there's plus he's only 5 minutes down the trail. Like either if he yelled 3 minutes walk away, you'll hear like the both locations would hear him.
You're a woodsman. Is there any chance that like he could have gotten stuck and his father couldn't hear him or something? Maybe.
Yeah, but they would have found the body when they searched the area.
Mm.
It was flat terrain. It wasn't like they were up on cliffs and shit. It was generally flat, lowland terrain.
So he just vanished. He just like flat out vanished.
Yeah, and there was no roads nearby. There was nothing like that.
They found nothing.
Nothing.
What's your theory?
Ah, it's just another weird disappearance, dude, of a vanishing person. Like
That might be what happened to Brian Schaefer. Dude might have just had a magnetic anomaly or
But
something.
again, no, I feel like that still doesn't. I think it's different. The missing 411 all happens in the woods,
Mm.
and they all have similarities. A lot of them.
Is it
Like
so?
hunters, like there's a lot of hunters that just go missing. Like there's this weird one where all these elk hunters, they all went out, big group of guys, like the homies, right? They always go hunting together. They've all been hunting for years. And what they're gonna do is line up at like 3 in the morning and wait until sunrise at like 7 in the morning. That's the best time to like hunt these elk, right? So they each line up like 100 or like 50 yards away from each other. So they all have their locations and they know exactly where they're going to be at. And they're close enough that they can signal the other guy with like clicks of a flashlight through the woods. But that's not what they're planning to do, but they could. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the whole idea was if you need to say something, you walk the 50 yards, go up to the other guy, tell him something, and then he'll go down the line. And that, like, hey, I'm hurt, or they could radio in. You know what I mean? So all these guys are out there. They don't. That's true. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of elk hunters. So they're lined up. They're ready to go. I think there's 7 of them, and they're waiting. They're looking out on this field, and sun rises. Nobody catches it. Nobody catches anything. Nobody shoots anything. Because if somebody shot something, they would likely all
They would hear it, right?
and they would all meet back up. So they're all like, for lack of a better term, like armed to the teeth. They're all wearing their gear. They're ready to go. The guy on the end never radios in with them. Never walks up to anybody. He's just gone.
Vanished without a trace, just like all of
Just like the
the
other
other
one.
ones.
He's just gone after those hours. Nobody had heard from him, but they were like, he's probably just really in his element. Like, he's fine. We've been hunting with him for years. Nope, dude's gone. Search the area. Nothing. Not a trace of anything. They don't find his gun. They don't
These are
find.
all woods, right?
Yeah.
These are all like wood.
Nothing.
So there's something going on in woods then.
If a tree
Maybe
falls in
there's
the
like
woods, there's no one there to hear it. Doesn't make a sound. If there's a guy camping in the woods and he doesn't use his sat phone, he disappears. Like, who the fuck knows?
that is scary. That is scary. That is scary.
Again, with Connie, like Connie used her radio. They just couldn't hear what she was saying.
Yeah, like based off what the article said, they could they it's not that they couldn't hear her, they couldn't like understand her. And when you're in a state of, delirium, you probably are not making sense.
Well, they
So
said there was interference with the radio, which, again, what if she's trying to fucking radio them from another dimension? That's why.
God,
Like, that's why.
bro, imagine that.
Some upside down shit.
But just like I said, playing like devil's advocate here, practicality. If she was in another dimension, how would the signal have like even gotten to them though?
Who the fuck
You
knows?
know what I mean?
Who the fuck knows? We don't know anything about other dimensions
True.
and how they
But
look on the inside. They've never been there. No one's ever been there. Well, maybe they have. They haven't come back though.
True. You got a point. That is very very true. Um so I so there just to like unless you have more like just to like wrap this up that there's all so all of the connections is that they're all in woods and they all vanish without traces, which is absolutely wild.
They're all fairly experienced, except for the 3-year-old
Yeah.
who was with an experienced grandfather
Yeah.
and the grandfather's family, like his mom and dad, the kid's mom and dad, and his siblings were there.
The one about the kid walking back to that trail though,
Boy
that
Scout,
one's crazy
Boy
because that was
Scout,
a 5-minute walk
yeah,
and he just upped and vanished.
yeah, with people in between on both sides. Like he was in between two groups of people. Like, and nobody. That's an easy area to
Wild.
search.
Wild. That's crazy. That is